So hello and welcome to today's show. My name's Leanne Peard, and today I have Toni Perrin with MG Travel here with us to share her journey in business on the Homegrown Business Show. So welcome, Toni, to today's show.
Hi, Leanne. Thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. So Toni, tell me about your business and how did you get started with travel?
Well, I sort of fell into it by accident, really. I just finished a university degree and, like a lot of people, had no idea what I really wanted to do with my life. My partner at the time had seen this ad in the paper for a travel information day, which was just to find out all about what it's like to be working in the travel industry. So I went along thinking, who knows, might be all right. And as my partner had said, worst case scenario, you take advantage of the perks and move on a year later. So as it turns out, I actually loved it. And just sitting there on that day, the more I heard about the job, the more I thought, actually, this could really be something I could do well at. So here I am 14 years later, still loving it.
14 years. Wow. So have you always worked for yourself at home, or did you start off working with a company and then branch off on your own?
No, I originally started with Flight Centre, and I was with them for a very long time in 3 countries. And then I had a little bit of time off and had my son, and working full-time in a store wasn't really going to work for me. So I decided to take the plunge and go into business for myself, essentially.
Fantastic. So can you talk to me about that? So, you've got a young child and you've gone into working for yourself. So how do you stay focused? How did you take the step away from, as we know, when you're working for someone, you have a guaranteed income, and then all of a sudden you're in business and there is no guarantee. So can you tell me about that transition? How did you stay focused? How did you stay positive?
Well, I actually think when you're a mum of a young child, you become more focused because you naturally end up with these routines around sleeping time and feeding time and all that sort of stuff. So, I had short windows in which I could fit things in. So you have to become super organized.
Yeah.
And, so it just meant that I worked around his schedule and fit in the maximum amount of work I could in those short periods of time.
Fantastic. And you made the business work, obviously, because you're here 14 years later and still in business. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Toni, tell me, what do you love about what you do? So you work from home and yeah.
I work from home, but we've also got an office in the Boland Centre on Spence Street in Cairns. Which is great. That gives me the best of both worlds. So I have a nice professional office space in which to meet people, but I also work from home and can work my own hours and have that flexibility as well.
So, Toni, with the world of social media marketing, do you find, I suppose the question is, how do you keep top of mind with your audience? So, I suppose the mindset of using a travel agent compared to we all just jump on and we look for flights when we have to go somewhere. So how do you, I suppose there's 2 questions there. Sorry, there's the point of difference. So why is it much more beneficial to use someone like yourself? And the second part is, how do you keep top of mind, with so much going on anyway in the world of social media and marketing and being in business?
Well, they're both really great questions. The first of which I get asked a lot, why would I use an agent when I can book it all myself online? Well, there's a few answers to that question. Probably first and foremost is I am an expert. I have been doing it for 14 years. I know the ins and outs. I know the loopholes. I know the pitfalls. I know what is going to cause you dramas down the track, which you don't know. The other thing is always the websites that you're using, they are automated systems. They can't think outside the box. They can only fit within what criteria you've entered. So that definitely limits you with the results that you're going to get. Whereas when you talk to me and you kind of explain what you want, I'm reading between the lines, and I can ask you questions and really determine what it is that you're looking for, so that I can ensure that you're getting the best deal for what you want. And I can make recommendations based on that discussion that we've had. Whereas, you might not realize that trip a deal that you've found online, there's going to be 100 other people on the same trip. You've got a 16-hour layover in China on the way there. You might not get your flight details till just before. There's a million different reasons that booking online can cause you headaches. But at the end of the day, it actually generally doesn't cost you any more to book with me than it does to book online, but you get me, and you've got me there too in case of an emergency. The way the world is now, we just never know whether there's going to be a volcanic eruption or an airline strike or any kind of, riots. There are riots on in Paris at the moment, things like that can affect your travel. And the last thing you want to be doing when you're in a situation like that is trying to work out how to change your travel arrangements, when all you need to do is call me, say, this is happening, help, and I'll say, right, leave it with me, I'll sort it out.
And on that note, I'll quickly share a quick story, because again, it's about thinking that we have everything covered, but not knowing. So I don't know how true the story is, but I can share with you. Back in 2010, we traveled with the kids. I traveled with the kids to America, and we went to LA, and we wanted to get to the West Coast. That's the other side, isn't it? The West Coast. And we didn't actually book our flights until we got to America, thinking that you just turn up to a travel agency and book it. But unbeknownst to us, it actually doesn't happen. It was so hard to find somebody to book a flight. We ended up going into this, sounds really dodgy, but we ended up going into this building up 10 flights of stairs to some little office who said that they could book us a trip. And we were only going from LA to New York, and we ended up going LA up to Philadelphia, back over somewhere else and back down. And I just went, wow, if I had had an agent, I could have just picked up the phone and said, well, we wouldn't have been in that position. There you go.
No.
The flights would have been booked for us. We would have not forgotten to book that major part of the trip,
Yes.
So
not only that your agent would have booked it, hopefully, as part of your international ticket. So your baggage would actually be part of that ticket as well, because when you book your US sectors separately, you have to pay for your baggage when you check in.
Yeah, and that cost a fortune as well. So, there you go. So I think that that's invaluable. We think because we're in Australia that it's like Australia, and then you go to a foreign country and everything's different. Even just simple things like, I'm just going to book a flight. Well, you just can't just book a flight, because it just doesn't happen over there, So
it's
so
unusual,
important.
actually. In the US, they're quite unusual in the sense that there's a really high proportion of travel agents are home-based, so they don't have offices you can walk into.
Yeah. So, and I mean, that was a massive lesson for me, thinking that, we've got it all covered, when in actual fact you don't. And then there's that recent story of the elderly couple just recently that cost themselves a fortune because of, different things that weren't booked. And now none of that would happen, obviously, with you.
No, that's right. I make sure that we've taken care of all those little bits and pieces that you need, and I'll say, you've got a 6-hour layover here. Did you know you can book an airport lounge to make yourself more comfortable, or things like that just make the trip flow a lot more smoothly for you and make you arrive feeling a bit more refreshed and all that sort of stuff.
That's right. So Toni, just, that's a good example of, a massive holiday. But what about things like, I just want to jump on a plane and go to Brisbane for the weekend? Can you help people with that as well?
Absolutely. I can book anything domestically within Australia as well as your big international trips. So even if it's just like a little weekend away, or, whether you're traveling for business down to Brizzy or that sort of thing, I could definitely help with all that too.
Fantastic. So then how do you stay top of mind? Because, I mean, you've got a great business, a great service, and a great service that you offer people, which is, a freedom for their mind. They don't need to worry about anything. So how do you keep in front with, letting everyone know what you do and how you do it so well?
Well, I'm doing my best.
You're doing a good job.
I'm quite active on Facebook, as you know. I'm doing a weekly Facebook Live on a Thursday morning at 9:30, and I cover different topics on there just to, give people ideas about what they can do, what I can do for them. I did one recently on solo travel, so for anyone who's traveling on their own, just different options that they have available to them. I mention different deals that are out, all that sort of thing. I'm in quite a few networking groups. That always helps get my name out there a little bit. I'm always asking my lovely, lovely clients whether they can refer friends and family and that sort of thing too.
Awesome. So you're obviously doing something right. You've been in business for 14 years. So if you were to shed some wisdom with people, maybe they're just starting out in business, maybe they're a couple of years in and they're finding it frustrating, because we all know that sometimes things just don't go as we had set our intention and our goals to. Do you have any tips for business owners out there on the key to success, or the key to your success, whatever that may be?
Well, I'm still a work in progress, because I sort of started again after I had my son and went into business myself. But really, I think the biggest thing is you've got to get yourself out there. You've got to make connections with people. You've got to be positive and really make sure that people remember you, because really people buy you, especially when you're in a service industry. That's all they have to go off to start with. They can either go off people's referrals and recommendations of you, and they can go off whether they like you or not. So that's really it. You've just got to get out there, and you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but just keep on keeping on, I think, is really the best thing you can do.
I love that. That's a really good point. People buy from you, not what you got. And if you can build that rapport and build those relationships, which social media actually helps us do that with a little bit more ease, people then build a rapport with you and then follow you, and then when they want to travel, they think about you.
Absolutely. And it's I saw it a lot. I did it in August. I took a group of women on board the 3-night comedy cruise out of Cairns, and I built a lot of, obviously I booked people. A lot of people were quite okay with trying me out for that, because it wasn't a huge investment, of course. So it was a great opportunity for me to get people I'd never met on board, and I boosted a lot of posts, and I had a lot of people sharing the event and that sort of thing, and it actually went really, really well. And I've already had a lot more follow-on business from that, because those people gave me a try. They had those conversations with me while we were on board the cruise, and they kind of went, hey, I like this girl. I'd be happy to book my US holiday with her for next year.
Yeah, lovely. Well done. And that's so important. So, and what about, that's the success, or the tip for success. So I think I might have already covered this already, but, sometimes as business owners, especially if we're working in our own space. So like yourself and like me, when you're at home working your own space and then you're meeting clients out and about, how do you stay on top of it all? Because guess what? We're doing everything, aren't we? We're doing the book work. We're doing the social media marketing. We're, seeing clients. How do you manage your time effectively and get it all done?
I think you've got a schedule. Whether you love it or hate it, a calendar and a diary is your best friend.
Yeah.
and I think I'm a list girl, so I tend to start my days off with a list of everything I should be doing today. And there's nothing more satisfying than crossing off something off the list.
Agreed.
So I think you've just got to be organised. I think that's your best friend. If you can be organised, everything else will flow from there.
Yeah. And can I ask this question? Because I know I do it all the time. So how do you stay focused then on working at home, and then all of a sudden you hear the washing machine beep and you go, oh, I just might go out and hang the washing up. And then you find I find myself, now I'm having lunch, I'm having a cup of tea, and then I'm emptying the dishwasher. And, in real life, if we were at a workplace, we wouldn't be doing all that, but it seems to be okay when we're at home. So how do you stay on track? I know you use your list, but how do you come back to that office or the space?
Well, I think,
do you go away at all?
Well, no, I tend to treat it like I'm going to work. So my office is my office. Nothing else happens in that office except work. And when I'm in there, the door is closed and nothing else exists but work. I'll go out for a lunch break or for a cuppa or something, but once I've had my lunch, I'm straight back in here until I'm done for the day.
So, and I think that's disciplined.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. You've got to treat it as if you're going to work, because it's way too easy to get distracted otherwise.
Yeah, for sure. That's good. So there's a couple of really cool tips that I got off you today, Toni, and one is being disciplined. Shutting the office door is a good one, because I've never thought about that. My door's always open. However, if I shut it, I would feel like I'm in my office space. And the other one was making lists or prioritizing what needs to be done for yourself for the day to make sure that you have maximum use of the time that you have for you in your business hours.
Well, I think, that's exactly right. And it's particularly I find sometimes that one thing I do get distracted with is Facebook, because I need Facebook open for work purposes, but then, you'll get a message from a friend or you'll get, a notification of something else that's going on, and it's very easy to go down that little rabbit hole of what you need to do. But if you've got your list there, you're like, oh, wait, I'll do that, and then I'll reward myself with a little foray into Facebook.
Yeah, that's such a good advice there. I mean, we all know about the Facebook rabbit warren hole, I tell you. Hours later, I'm trying to justify it because I do it and I go, wow, I've been on here for 3 hours and I really haven't done anything except for look. So, yeah, that's great advice. And, of course, the most important bit of advice is the fact that what you do and your service really can be offered to anybody around the world, can't it? It's great to have your local clients, as you said, and building rapport, but, anybody anywhere can use your services to actually really get good bargains, but also have that peace of mind as well, so that they know they're going to get from A to B, and if there is a problem, you're going to sort it for them. They don't need to worry about it, and they're going to have a great holiday or business travel.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually just got an email from someone this morning saying they're based in London, but their family is here in Sydney. They are Aussies, but they're coming down to Sydney for a holiday, and while they're down here, they want to come up to Cairns for a little weekender, just to, really enjoy their time together. So that's where they emailed me to say, look, can you make this happen for us? We want to deal with a local agent that's got all the connections and everything they need. And, so makes it nice and easy for them.
Awesome. So, Toni, I know I'm going to ask you if I have missed anything today that you would like to share, but I would like to know, where have you travelled that you love the most? Is there one place where you go, I'll go back there every year, or every place that you've been has something nice or something great to offer?
I find it very hard to justify going back to the same place twice unless I'm doing something completely different. For me, there's such a big wide world out there that to go back to the same place again, it's got to be something completely different that I'm doing. But the number one of all my travel experiences, and I've been to 6 of the 7 continents, Antarctica is still on the list, was Africa. My husband and I spent a month in Africa about a year before my son was born, and it was the most incredible experience. We did Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and Tanzania. So we saw the gorillas. We went on safari drives. We chilled out in Zanzibar. It was just incredible, and I know it's a destination a lot of people are a little bit scared of at first, but that's why you come to me. Come to someone who's been there, done that, knows the ins and outs, and it's actually far safer than you anticipate, and you feel a lot safer while you're there than you would think so. But there's something about seeing wildlife in its natural habitat that absolutely blows your mind. And I wholeheartedly recommend Africa to anybody.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. The number one tip. It's also on my bucket list. Yeah, I'd love to go and see the animals just free, not in the cage.
Yeah. Oh, they're incredible. And it's, we were probably 10 feet away from a troop of gorillas, and they were just, I can't describe it. You've got to do it.
Awesome. Thanks, Toni. So again, like I said, I was going to ask you this question anyway. Is there anything that you would like to share with our audience, either about your business or your tips, whatever, that I haven't asked you that you really feel the need to share with us all today?
No, I think really just give me a go. There's no harm in trying me. You can certainly give me a call, even if you found something online and you think, oh, there's no way she's going to be able to do this. Try me. Let's see what I can do for you, because you might be pleasantly surprised.
And, to add to that, Toni, I just want to make sure that people are clear. There is no cost for your service, is there? So if I'm going to book you, there's not an extra percentage added on top to justify your rate or your wage. It's very similar to mortgage brokering. I'm presuming that we would get paid by the banks when I was many years ago a mortgage broker, and it never cost the client any more.
No, that's right. So I get paid by the suppliers. They pay me commission. So that's where I make my money. I'm not the kind of person that will push you towards a product just because I get paid more on it. At the end of the day, what it's about for me is getting the right experience for you, because if you go on that holiday and you absolutely love it, you will come back, you'll love me and you'll book with me next time, but also you'll tell all your friends about me, and that's what I want.
That's it. Well, I think we love you already, Toni. So, I mean, that's a given. It's just a matter of getting people to either email you or message you. Can they contact you through Facebook? You've got a Facebook business page?
Absolutely. Toni Perrin Travel. If you just search that, you'll find me. You can private message me on there, but my phone number and email address is also on there too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom about what you do and how we can best use your services so that we do have a peace of mind when we are traveling, whether it's just down the road or whether we're going overseas, and also your tips on business, Toni. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here with us today.
Thanks so much, Leanne. I've had a ball.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.